Children rushed into the hallways like a colorful wave. Backpacks bounced, sneakers squeaked on polished floors, and laughter filled the air. Some students ran to waiting parents outside. Others hurried toward school buses lined up near the curb. Within minutes, the building that had been buzzing with life all day began to grow quiet. Inside room 12, Mr. Daniel Carter stood at the front of the classroom, wiping chalk dust from his hands. The chalkboard behind him still displayed the sentence he had written earlier that morning. Kindness is a habit we practice every day. He picked up the eraser and slowly wiped the words away. The chalk squeaked softly as the letters disappeared, leaving behind faint white clouds. Daniel Carter had been a teacher for nearly 15 years. Teaching elementary school had never made him rich. His salary barely covered rent for his small apartment, groceries, and the payments on his old second-hand car that coughed every winter morning before starting. But money had never been the reason he stayed. He believed something simple but powerful: children learn habits early, and those habits shape the rest of their lives. Kindness, patience, honesty, these were lessons just as important as math and spelling. Sometimes more important. He gathered a few papers from his desk and placed them neatly into his worn leather bag. The bag had been a gift from his father many years ago, and the edges had softened from years of use. Just as he reached for his coat, something caught his attention. There was still a student in the classroom. At the very back desk sat a small girl, her head lowered, her shoulders shaking slightly. Daniel paused. Every other student had already left. The room was silent except for the faint sound of sniffing. The girl was crying. Daniel's heart tightened immediately. Over the years he had learned that children often hid their emotions during class, only allowing them to surface when everything became quiet. He walked slowly down the aisle between the desks, careful not to startle her. When he reached the desk, he crouched slightly so his voice sounded gentle rather than authoritative. "Hey," he said softly. The bell rang a while ago. The girl quickly wiped her eyes with the sleeve of her sweater, embarrassed to be seen crying. "I'm sorry," she murmured. "You don't need to apologize," Daniel replied kindly. He pulled a nearby chair closer and sat beside her. "My name is Mr. Carter," he said with a warm smile. "But you already know that." The girl gave a small, shaky nod. "What's your name?" he asked. "Emily," she whispered. "Well, Emily," he said gently, "something seems to be bothering you." She stared down at the desk, tracing a tiny circle on the wooden surface with her finger. For a long moment, she didn't say anything. Daniel waited patiently. One thing he had learned from teaching was that silence often helped children find the courage to speak. Finally, Emily took a slow breath. "Today is my mom's birthday." Daniel felt a quiet heaviness settle in his chest. "Oh," he said softly. Emily's eyes filled with tears again. "She used to pick me up from school every year on her birthday," Emily continued. "We would go get ice cream together." Her voice trembled. "And then we would watch movies at home." Daniel listened without interrupting. Children didn't always need answers. Sometimes they only needed someone who would truly hear them. Emily wiped her eyes again. "But she can't come anymore." Daniel understood immediately. He had seen grief in children before. It often appeared quietly, like a shadow following them through the day. "I'm very sorry, Emily," he said gently. She nodded slowly, staring at her hands. "My dad says she's in heaven," she said quietly. Daniel nodded. "That's what many people believe." Emily sniffed softly. "But today feels strange," she continued. "Because birthdays are supposed to be happy." Daniel thought carefully before responding. "That's true," he said. "But birthdays can also be days when we remember someone we love." Emily looked up slightly, listening. "My grandmother passed away many years ago," Daniel explained. "But every year on her birthday, my family still talks about her and remembers the things she loved." Emily's eyes showed curiosity. "Like what?" Daniel smiled. "She loved baking apple pies," he said. "And she always sang loudly in the kitchen even though she couldn't carry a tune." Emily giggled faintly. "That sounds funny." "It was," Daniel agreed. For the first time since he approached the desk, Emily's shoulders relaxed a little. Daniel opened the drawer of his desk and searched for something. He pulled out a small box of colored pencils and a sheet of thick white paper. Then he returned to Emily's desk. "How about we do something special for your mom?" he suggested. Emily tilted her head. "What do you mean?" "We can make a birthday card." Emily hesitated. "But she can't see it." Daniel nodded thoughtfully. "That might be true," he said. "But sometimes we don't create things so someone can see them." "Then why?" "So we can remember them," he replied. Emily considered this idea carefully. "What did your mom like?" Daniel asked. Emily's eyes brightened slightly. She loved yellow flowers, she said. Perfect, Daniel said, sliding the colored pencils toward her. Then let's draw yellow flowers. Emily slowly picked up a pencil. At first her drawing movements were small and uncertain. But as the minutes passed, she became more focused. She carefully drew a large flower with bright petals. Then another. Daniel sat beside her, helping her write a message beneath the drawing. Together they wrote, "Happy birthday, Mom. I miss you." When Emily finished, she stared at the card for a long time. Her expression looked calmer now. The sadness was still there, but something else had joined it. Peace. Daniel folded the card gently. You can keep this somewhere special, he said. Emily hugged the card against her chest. Thank you, Mr. Carter. You're welcome, he replied warmly. Before she stood up, Daniel pointed toward the chalkboard behind them. Although most of the writing had been erased, the faint outline of the sentence was still visible. Do you remember what we talked about this morning? He asked. Emily looked at the board. She read the fading words slowly. Kindness is a habit we practice every day. Daniel nodded. That means small acts, helping someone, listening, caring, can become part of who we are if we do them often enough. Emily thought about that. Then she smiled softly. Outside the classroom, a black car quietly pulled into the school parking lot. Inside sat a man whose world had been shattered months earlier. A man who had lost his wife. And who was about to discover the teacher comforting his daughter. But inside room 12, neither Emily nor Mr. Carter knew that yet. At that moment, they were simply sharing a quiet habit of kindness. The sky was turning soft shades of orange and purple as the sun dipped toward the horizon. The long shadows of trees stretched across the pavement, and the evening air carried the distant sound of children playing somewhere down the street. Inside the car sat Jonathan Reeves. To the outside world, Jonathan Reeves was one of the most powerful business leaders in America. As the CEO of a massive technology company headquartered in downtown Chicago, he managed thousands of employees and billion-dollar deals. His days were filled with board meetings, investor calls, and decisions that affected entire industries. But at this moment, none of that mattered. Jonathan sat quietly in the driver's seat, staring at the school entrance with tired eyes. 6 months earlier, his life had changed forever. His wife, Sarah, had died after a sudden illness. For weeks afterward, grief had wrapped around him like a heavy fog. Every room in the house reminded him of her laugh, her voice, the way she filled their home with warmth. And the hardest part of all was watching their daughter, Emily, struggle with the loss. At first, Jonathan had tried to be strong for her. But slowly, something else happened. He buried himself in work. Meetings became longer. Business trips became more frequent. Emails and financial reports replaced dinner conversations. Work felt easier than facing the silence at home. Until today. Earlier that afternoon, while sitting in a glass conference room on the 40th floor of his company's headquarters, Jonathan had glanced at the date on his tablet. March. For a moment, his breath had stopped. It was Sarah's birthday. The realization struck him like lightning. And even worse, he had almost forgotten. Jonathan had immediately cancelled the rest of his meetings and driven straight to Emily's school. Now he sat in the car, gripping the steering wheel. I'm sorry, he whispered to no one. He stepped out of the car and walked toward the building. The front doors were unlocked for after-school activities, so he quietly entered the hallway. The school felt very different now compared to the busy mornings. Most of the lights were dimmed, and the corridors were nearly silent. Jonathan's polished shoes echoed softly on the floor as he walked. He passed several dark classrooms. Then he noticed one door slightly open. Light spilled out from inside. Above the door was a small sign. Room 12, Mr. Carter. Jonathan slowed his steps. He heard voices inside. One was Emily's. He stopped beside the door, careful not to make noise. Inside the classroom, Emily sat at a desk holding a piece of paper. Her small hands clutched it carefully. Beside her knelt a man wearing a worn brown jacket. The teacher. Jonathan stayed still, listening. My mom liked yellow flowers, Emily was saying. The teacher nodded warmly. Then we should draw lots of yellow flowers. Jonathan watched quietly as Emily colored the drawing. His chest tightened. He realized his daughter had been crying. But now her expression looked calmer. The teacher helped her write something at the bottom of the page. Jonathan leaned slightly closer to see. Emily slowly read the words aloud. Happy birthday, Mom. I miss you. Jonathan swallowed hard. For months he had believed he was protecting Emily by staying strong and focusing on work. But watching her now, he understood something painful. She had been carrying her grief mostly alone. The teacher pointed toward the chalkboard behind them. Do you remember what we talked about this morning? He asked. Emily turned to look. Faint chalk words were still visible. Kindness is a habit we practice every day, she read. The teacher smiled. That means small things matter, he explained. Listening to someone, helping someone, even sitting with them when they are sad. Jonathan felt those words hit him deeply. Kindness as a habit. For months his main habit had been something else. Work, profit, deadlines. But somewhere along the way, he had stopped practicing the habit of being present. Of being a father. Emily hugged the cart gently. Thank you, Mr. Carter, she said. You're welcome, the teacher replied softly. Jonathan could no longer stand silently outside. He pushed the door open slowly. The soft creak made Emily turn around. Her face lit up immediately. Dad. She jumped from the chair and ran straight into his arms. Jonathan knelt and held her tightly. I'm sorry I'm late, he said quietly. Emily showed him the drawing. It's for Mom. Jonathan looked at the card. Bright yellow flowers filled the page. His wife's favorite. It's beautiful, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Then he looked up at the teacher. Mr. Carter stood politely beside the desk, unsure of what to say. Jonathan stood and walked toward him. For a moment, the two men simply looked at each other. Jonathan noticed the teacher's simple clothes, the stack of lesson plans on the desk, the one chalkboard behind him. This man lived in a completely different world from corporate boardrooms and billion-dollar companies. Yet today, he had given Jonathan something priceless. He had taken care of his daughter when Jonathan had failed to be there. Jonathan extended his hand. Thank you, he said sincerely. Mr. Carter shook it. There's no need to thank me, he replied. Emily is a wonderful student. Jonathan shook his head. You didn't just teach her today, he said quietly. You reminded me of something too. Mr. Carter looked slightly confused. Jonathan glanced again at the chalkboard. Kindness is a habit we practice every day. For the first time in months, Jonathan felt something inside him shift. Grief was still there, but so was clarity. He looked down at Emily, who was still holding the card carefully. Tomorrow, Jonathan said, I'd like to visit your class, Mr. Carter. The teacher blinked in surprise. Visit the class. Jonathan nodded. Yes. He smiled gently at Emily. Because today I think my daughter's teacher taught me the most important lesson of all. Emily squeezed his hand, and as they walked out of the classroom together, Jonathan Reeves made a quiet decision. Success, money, and power could wait. From now on, he would practice a different habit. The habit of kindness. The habit of being present. The habit of being the father his daughter needed most.